For now, what I want us to do now is to publish this particular website so that we can open it on our phone, we can send it to our friend, they can open it on their phone and so on and so forth. So now I had difficulties doing this before in the last class. So that's what I'm going to do now. Your assignment is going to be for those that did not create. So I gave the assignment that I gave before is that they should create this page from beginning to the end, plus all the things that we did there. Now the new assignment is that create everything plus this form. The previous assignment does not include this form. Now your new assignment is you create everything plus this form plus publishing it. Now I wanted to publish this thing with GitHub the last time, but I'm not going to use GitHub again because I don't want to face that same problem anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to github.com, and then I'm also going to go to something called Netlify. So you can just type Netlify login or something. So github.com. Now I'm logged in into my GitHub repository or GitHub page. Then what I want to do now is I want to paste everything. Look at what I'm doing now. So I don't want to go through the registration anymore. I already showed you how to register for GitHub. But now this is what you want to do. Click on this and go to your profile. You click on your picture icon or the icon that is profile icon. Now this is your profile. Now inside this GitHub you can actually create a repository. By the time you are creating your own for the first time, there won't be any project here. You can see my own. I have a lot of projects here. I have everything here. You can see I have all of these projects here. So now you can actually create new and then type the name of the project. So I'm going to call this project portfolio. Please, I want you to watch as I'm doing it. Portfolio. Now I'm going to describe it as this is my portfolio. Now you see this portfolio we are trying to create. We are still going to make it look advanced so that when you want to apply for jobs, you can send this portfolio to your own to your employer or your client that wants to give you a job. You can send this portfolio to them. You understand? Then leave this at public. Now I explained that anybody can see your repository if it's public, but if it's private, nobody will see it. But for now, we are not trying to hide anything from anyone, so let's leave it at public, and then we'll add a readme file. A readme file is always full of text that will explain whatever your website is doing. Then just leave everything the way it is and then click on create repository. So when you create a repository, it's going to actually create it and it's going to call it portfolio under your username. So you can see this is your username and this is your portfolio. I already explained how to register for GitHub. When you do this, after doing this, we need to put our code, the code here on our VS Code. You know this code here is on our system. This software is on our laptop, on our system. So that means the code is not on the server. So anybody cannot access that your website. Only you can access your website. But the point is not for only me to access it, for everybody to access it. So one thing I always like to do is I always like to actually close my this thing so that I can reduce the length of the code. Look at it. So you can try that in your VS Code. Now this portfolio thing, I have to upload all this code here. Now what you do is you click on add file. Now there's another way of doing that without adding file. I can actually use the terminal. We are going to click on add file. You see create new file. That's not what we're trying to do. We are trying to upload files into this portfolio. So I'm going to click on upload files. Then when I click on upload files, it's going to take me where I can drag that file inside. So I might not drag it. Let me see if I can drag it. Or there are two ways to do it. You can drag it or just go to choose your files. Just click on it and go to where you saved your website. And the website that I saved it in the folder called what's the name of the folder again? My personal website. And inside my personal website, these are all the things I want to upload. Let me delete this new.html that I created. So if I delete here, it's also going to delete here. You can see it's no more here. So I'm going to select everything plus the image. I'm going to select everything and click open. So it's going to upload everything here. You can see this is the image, this is the contacts, this is the hobbies. So now our code is going to be committed. Don't worry, you won't understand. You might not understand what commit means now. When we get to version control, we'll talk about all those things. Now I want to upload this now. Then I'm going to say version 1 of my website, because I told you that we are still going to make it advanced. So by the time we want to upload new version, that means when we start styling, adding colors, making it look fine, that's another version. It's like saying when WhatsApp added a new thing to the WhatsApp, that they say they update WhatsApp. There was a time WhatsApp does not have status, but now it has status. That's another version, you understand? So now we are adding the raw version here now, which is the first version of our portfolio. When you add it, make sure that this thing is clicked already. Don't click on the second one. This first one is okay. Then commit changes. Now let's see, it's processing, and then let's see if our commit is successful. Okay, yeah, our commit is successful now. Now it is successful, so it is here now. So we now have our code online on GitHub. Our code is there. So you can see that if I open contact.html, it's going to open everything that I have on my VS Code here. Now, before I wanted to use GitHub, but GitHub was giving me problems, so I just said let me use something else called Netlify. So with Netlify you can actually create Netlify will give you a small server or a small space on their server to actually use what's it called, to upload your files. Now you cannot upload those files without having a GitHub. So if your files is not on GitHub, you cannot upload it directly the way we did it on GitHub. You cannot upload it like that. So if you go to Netlify login, you have to register first before you log in. But this is the simple way you can actually log in without typing all of those things. So you can log in with GitHub. You see, now if you have GitHub already, that's why I'm saying create a GitHub account first with your email and password and whatever. Then you have a username also. Then upload all the files on your GitHub. So when you come to Netlify, you log in with GitHub. You can see that log in with GitHub, log in with GitLab, log in with Bitbucket. Now GitHub is what we are using. GitLab and Bitbucket is the same thing as GitHub. It's just different company. It's like Milo and Bonvita. They are the same thing but different company. So if I say login with GitHub, it's going to access my GitHub because I have logged in my GitHub before. So it's not actually asking me to do some things. But when you are doing it newly, it's going to ask you for some new things. You understand? But then let's just do it the way we see it here for now. When you click on login with GitHub, it's going to say you should authorize GitHub and everything, and you can do that. I think that's something you should be able to do on your own. It's not that hard. It's just to read and follow the button. That's it. Now you can see that I have some sites here. This one, Divine Cool. Wow, this site is still here. iWealth test, and this is just like four tests for this thing that I have here. Then this one also. Now I want to add a new site. You can see this one. Add a new site. You must make sure that you are in the site section to see this thing. So you can see add a new site. And if you are not seeing this, you can go to this line and click on sites. So when you click on site, you will see this button, add a new site, and also you can see all the sites. Wow, this website I'm seeing website that I've done in like 2 years ago or 1 year ago sometimes that I've forgotten. So now you click on this add a new site, and it's going to say, do you want to import an existing project, or you want to start with a template, or you want to deploy manually? Now to avoid issues, always use import an existing project. You now click on import an existing site. So when you click on import existing site, it's going to bring you here, and it's going to say import an existing project from a Git repository. You understand? So what you do is, the Git repository is this GitHub, GitLab, Azure, and Bitbucket. So these are just different companies. It's not as if they are different things. They do the same thing. It's like they are almost the same thing, but it's just that they are owned by different companies. So GitHub is owned by GitHub, GitLab is owned by GitLab, Bitbucket is owned by Bitbucket, and Azure is owned by Microsoft. So I'm not using these three, I'm using GitHub. GitHub is the most common. So when you are looking for a job, if you don't know GitHub, most companies they use GitHub, like 90% of companies they use GitHub. So they always ask you, do you know how to use GitHub? If you are using GitLab or Bitbucket or Azure, you might not, you have to know GitHub actually. It's very common. That's what most people use. And if the funny thing is, if you use GitHub, if you start using GitHub and GitLab, you can understand the rest easily, honestly. GitLab and GitHub, they look much alike, like they're almost the same thing. But these ones are a bit different. But then if you know how to use these two, you'll be able to use every other one. That's just how it is. So now you click on, because we are using GitHub, you click on GitHub, and it will take you, it's going to try to it's authorizing. So now it will now bring out my username and ask me which project in my GitHub that I want to use. You can see how many projects I have. This one is private, this one is private, and then this one is private, and then this one I want to use, the one I created that is called portfolio. You can't create the same name for different projects. It has to be different names. So I can't have two portfolio on my page. If I want to have another portfolio, I can call it maybe portfolios or portfolio 2 or something, but it must be different. Now this is what we are trying, because you've uploaded your portfolio, your code in the portfolio already. When you click on import an existing project and you give authorization, it will show you your profile and all the projects you have in your profile, and then you can choose portfolio like this. When you choose portfolio, it's going to load something. See, all these things, just forget about them. Everything here, don't click on anything. When you touch something, you just see it will not work. So just leave everything the way it is. Immediately you can see the number one thing is you connected to GitHub, which is the Git provider. You pick a repository. The repository I picked is my project portfolio. Then you reach number 3, site settings and deploy. Don't do any settings, just leave it like this. Then click on deploy site. Now it's loading, it's trying to deploy my site. When it deploys my site, it's going to give me a particular link, and that link is this. Look at that link, courageous whatever. Okay, I think this is the ID for the website, not the link actually. So this is the link, courageous stroop waffle whatever.netlify.app. But because this link is somehow, I don't want us to use that link. So let's just go to site settings here, and then we can change the name. So you can when you go to site settings, you can see change site name. So instead of this courageous whatever, I can just say portfolio. So you can see that as I'm typing, it is adding that thing here. So it's saying https portfolio.netlify.app. So I'm just going to save it. So now they said the site name is already taken. That means somebody has used it before. So you can just call it AB, my name, Abe Dev Portfolio. So it's going to have, let me just remove that thing and say Abe Dev Portfolio. It's going to have Abe Dev Portfolio.netlify.app. So let's see if this is not taken. I'm not sure anybody is bearing my name with me. So now this is it. You can see immediately it's showing how the website looks here. It's just showing how it is looking here. You can see the website even when we've not visited it. So this link that you are seeing here by this side, you can see the link here, is what you are going to send to me. So it is the link that you will visit. So if you want to view this website now, but instead of you typing in directly like that, you can just right click or say open link in new tab, and it will open that place. You can just type that name here and it's going to go to your personal website. So the link is already here. You can see this one is easier than the way I wanted to do it before the last time. So now use netlify.app to do it. All you need to do is create a GitHub repository. This is your GitHub repository, this portfolio that you created. And how do you create that? You go to your repository and click on new. When you click on new, you name it whatever you want to name it, and then upload your files to the GitHub. Do this first. Then when you are done with this, you can now come to Netlify and click on, so you go to the main page, which is this place, and then click on site and add new site and import from an existing project. Then click on GitHub and then authorize it. Then it's going to show you all your projects and you choose the one you want to actually use. You understand? Make sure it is public, don't make it private. Netlify might have issues rendering your website if it's private. Private is not supposed to be visible to anyone. So that is it. That's how to do that. So now you can see my website is here. I can put this link on my phone and also visit it on my phone.